Okay, that's brilliant. So, have any of you got anything specific that you'd like to ask about this afternoon before we get started? The agenda's quite loose, so we can kind of go with the flow a little bit if you've got some questions, and Carolina and I can answer those for you. Or, I mean, we've got a couple of updates for you, but nothing major. So let's...
Can I just ask about the Westminster 2 days, if we're going for 2 days? Is the hotel provided in the middle, or do we have to sort that out ourselves?
Sorry, Karen, I missed that. What's
Westminster?
The Westminster 2 days. I've not had full confirmation of everything, and I just wondered whether a hotel is provided if you're going for 2 days, or whether you have to find your own accommodation.
Oh no, they don't. Eden and Partners don't usually include a hotel. I think they just provide the lunch on the days. Yeah, so you would have to find your own hotel, which you can claim off your scholarship funding, but you have.
That's fine. That's what I
within
thought.
Reason. No 5-star hotels, please.
Oh. Lovely, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. Do you want me to chase Eden and Partners to confirm the programme and the dates for you, or is that something you would like me to do?
I've got the dates. I haven't had anything further for the programme. That's all.
Okay, I'll send you a gentle reminder.
That would be brilliant. Thank you very much. Anthony, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, mine's just about whether I can get some more clarity over the project and what points people need stuff, or do people need stuff? Because I've seen people talk about presentations, and I just don't want to be the only one not doing something. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd like to echo Anthony's question as well.
Okay,
I'd like a bit more clarity around the project.
Okay, we can talk about the project, so that's absolutely fine. What I'll do is I'll just answer Saritha, and then I'll start with that, because I think that's going to be a longer topic by the sound of it. Saritha?
Hi, this is regarding the RADA residential. I know you booked, there's a hotel, Novotel booked, but I'm just wondering, for me, I don't think I would need a hotel because I can commute every day. Is it a requirement that we need to stay there for the night? Is there any programs in the evening, or is it possible to commute every day? So yeah, if we can have some clarification on that, thank you.
So, Saritha, the price we paid includes evening stay at Novotel with dinner, and that's a chance, as a social gathering for the group for you to attend. But it's not mandatory, but it would be nice if you could.
Yeah, it's just that because I'm really struggling with childcare at the moment, and the 3 days it will be really hard for my husband to look after the children. So it's all right. I think it's about 50-minute or 1 hour journey for me, which is very easy for me to go. So I'm just wondering, maybe we can catch up, Carolina, later on, how we can best do this.
So, well, there's also an option, Saritha, because I know other scholars have included their partners, where I think you just pay an extra £10 per night for the accommodation. But yeah, you would pay that directly yourselves with the hotel.
All right, Caroline, I'll get in touch with you. Maybe, I can have a chat about it. But thank you for your clarification. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No worries, that's fine. Lizzie?
I was just going to ask, I'm going to RADA next week, and I've booked accommodation for the Monday because I live in the northeast of England, and it feels like it'll be really stressful to try and travel on the morning of. And I wondered if, because I'm staying on the Monday, am I able to claim the Monday night as part of the travel expenses if I put that on the form?
Yeah, so with your scholarship budget, you can claim up to £1,000 for travel and accommodation for the scholarship year. And to be mindful not to go over that £1,000 up to, yeah.
That's great. I'll add that onto my expense form for that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. See, it's good to be here, Carolina. Well, it's all the money. It's all the big money questions.
Yeah.
Around budget, Carolina is the woman you need. Any other questions before we start talking about projects? Okay, right. So as part of your scholarship, you're required to complete a project over the year. Everybody's aware of that, yeah? Okay, so the project is a QI, so quality improvement. You'll all be aware of that. You'll all be aware of QI from where you're working in clinical practice. So it's not necessarily start-end. I've done quite a few project chats over the last 4 months with the previous scholarship group that are coming to a conclusion. A lot of people have asked me, you know, does it have to be finished at the end? It's not. QI is about, you know, it's a continuous cycle of learning. So it's about providing a summary or an outcome of your project plan at the end of your scholarship year. Okay, and the expectation as part of that scholarship is that you'll produce an abstract at the end of the year. You've got the template for that in your scholar packs, which we've also uploaded onto the LMS system. And you just need to look at what you'll need to do is submit a piece of writing according to that template. Okay, if you have, you know, hit a barrier with your project, if you've needed to change because you've changed roles or whatever, with communication with your sponsor, ourselves, and your mentor, that's not a problem, okay? And you would just need to provide a summary of what you're doing as your project, what your outcome measures are, how you're getting on with it, and what's your learning so far, okay? And what your next steps are, because some of your projects will be relatively quick win. It might be something small that you can achieve within your clinical area fairly quickly. Others will be larger service changes and they're going to take a longer period of time. So it might be a step-by-step approach. So what you submit to us is like part one of a longer journey. So that abstract is roughly 1,000 to 1,500 words. We don't word count it. It's not an academic piece of work in terms of like if you were submitting an assignment for a university or HEI. We do want it to be written in the third person, referenced obviously evidence-based, because that's, you know, we're nurses and we need to be using evidence-based practice. But we're not going to, you know, there's no kind of pass or fail in terms of if you go over the word count. Okay, that will be reviewed by the nurses within the Florence team. And we also ask that over the course of your scholarship year, now that might be after you've finished, so in that 6 months after you finished or during, that you present your work at either a conference or you present to publish. Okay, so that might be a journal article, an editorial piece, it might be a project at a conference, might be some slides at a conference, but we would ask for evidence that you either intend to submit and where you're going to submit that piece of work to, or there's an option on the form to say, you know, how have you shared and disseminated this? So some of you will end up at conferences over the next kind of 6 to 12 months, and you can just pop that in there to say, actually, I've shared it at this forum. Does that make sense? Yeah. In terms of presentations, in the conference, the FNF Scholar Conference at the end of which will be October 2023 for you guys. I need to get just being careful about my dates because we're planning 2022s now, so I don't want to get you confused. So after you finish, you'll be issued with a submission date for your project to come in, and then nearer the conference date, depending on when your submission is, we'll then ask you for 5 PowerPoint slides on your kind of scholarship journey and project. So might be a couple of slides on your journey, a couple of slides on your project and what you've kind of learned from the experience. And then we would ask all of you to likely present at that October conference in 2023. So there's 2 aspects to this. There's the formal abstract that we will ask all scholars to submit, and there's the presentation for the conference. Okay, so at the moment we're collating all that information together from our 2021-2022 scholars. Does that make sense? But as far as what you want to do with your project is concerned, obviously you've been paired up with a mentor who's able to help you with that and can provide you with adequate support. So I'd strongly advocate checking in with your mentors regularly, so that you can kind of get that support you need from a senior perspective. I'd also recommend those of you that are working within areas that have got QI teams as part of your organisation, link in with them. They're really helpful, and they'll give you, you'll have done change projects before, but with something like this that you are going to, want to share widely and potentially publish nationally or internationally, they'll be able to kind of give you some support with your outcomes as well and help you with the planning, particularly if you have to have a change midway. We've had a few last year that have changed roles, changed organisations, and have said, I've had to change projects. Where do I start? I need to pick this up and take it on a different direction. And actually, those QI links within your organisations have been really helpful, as well as your mentors going forward. Does that make sense? I've got Coco and Karen with your hands up.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people, Debbie, who started this F&F journey in one role with a very clear vision of what my QI was going to be. And whilst it's not wholly irrelevant in my new role, because my new role is sort of linked to my old role, it feels less doable.
Okay.
And I'm struggling to understand how I can action it. So I don't know whether a change in direction is required or expected.
It's entirely up to you. I know that answer is not going to help you if you want me to give you a quick win. But I think a conversation needs to be had with your mentor. Many congratulations on your new role, first and foremost. You'll find a lot of you will change roles as part of this process, after the process, within the process. It's a good thing. So take it as a positive and speak to your mentors and see what they say, take their advice. But if you need to change direction or if you need to change topic, that's fine. Yeah. Remember, it's about the QI journey. It's not necessarily a kind of, I've started it, my scholarship with this aim, and we're going to finish it no matter what. It's about producing a quality change that's going to impact your patients and your colleagues. So if you need to change because of that, because it's not working for you, then absolutely you're going to need to do that. But get your support of your mentor to help you. Okay. And then engage with, your key stakeholders within your organisation, because they will be able to you need them to help you drive this forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that? Sorry, Debbie. No. That Coco, you will also need to update your sponsor and copy us in.
I would like to keep a hold of my original idea because I think it's really important. It needs to be done. It just means it doesn't now sit under my role. It sits under a role of a person who I haven't yet recruited, who I will manage. So the project could still happen. I just don't quite know how, whether it will get done in the time frame of me on F&F, and B, how I would quite write that, because it would be more, yes, I'm overseeing and facilitating the project to happen, but not directly. And I don't know how that impacts things, but I'll discuss it with my sponsor and my mentor.
Have a conversation with the mentor. Drop me an email after if you want to discuss it, and we'll have a call. We can have a call and a chat. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Debbie.
No worries, not a problem. Karen, you keep moving around my screen, so if I look confused, that's why. Every time somebody talks, the screen shuffles like a deck of cards.
I just wondered if we had a date for next year's conference. I know it's a long way off, but we're already being plugged for dates next year. So I just wondered if we could get that in as quick as possible. If not.
Yeah. Carolina, have you got any ideas? I think this year's is the 13th of October. So it will likely be around the same time. I think it was the same time last year as well.
It's around the same dates in October, but I'll see if I can get confirmation.
Sorry, it's just we've got training that we have to book sort of a year in advance, and I don't want to book it on the wrong weekend or wrong week. Sorry, it's because it's sod's law. I'm going to do that, isn't it?
No, that's fine. We'll get it out as soon as we can. No problem.
Okay. Thank you,
Anthony.
I was literally going to ask the same question as Karen, because I'm getting married in October next year. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, we've been engaged a while and have decided that we should probably spend some money on making that slightly more official. But my question was going to be around the project again. So a similar position to Coco. So rather than my role changing, the roles of other people have changed, which means that I don't quite have the same stakeholders as I previously did, if that makes sense, until we recruit into this post. So I've had to change it. My mentor's happy with it, and so is my sponsor,
That's good.
which, Carolina, you've just reminded me I need to forward you those emails because I forgot to copy you in, sorry.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can you just change your project without, as long as it's quality improvement and...
As long as it's quality improvement and it's relevant in terms of, you know, it's going to have an impact on your service, your patients, your organisation, then that's absolutely fine. It's just got to be something meaningful that you can, you know, work to achieve within your scope, really. Things will happen, services will change. I'm very aware that winter's coming again. I still work clinically myself, so I'm very aware, you know, that winter's coming and clinical areas are going to be moved around and shunted about and teams are going to be changed. So we kind of expect that as part of the course. What I would say to all of you, though, is when you are going to have a change, if you need to have a change, whether that's change of direction, change of topic completely, think about, you know, think about the learning that's gone along with it. Because when we're looking at your work, we're not just looking at what did you do, how did you do it, what happened at the end. You know, this is a really amazing learning opportunity for you, and you've got dedicated time. So, you know, think about, you know, what have you learned in terms of engagement, networking, engaging stakeholders. Think about the wider learning for you as well, and you can include that as part of your report. So if you do get to the end of the 12 months and you haven't quite, you know, got to the point you wanted to, you know, what else have you gained from the experience along the way, and how are those changes and those challenges and those barriers that you've overcome kind of impacted you, your service, your colleagues and your patients?
Thank you, Debbie.
No worries. Lizzie.
Yeah, I was just coming in. I guess mine's a very, very probably specific thing that probably is a discussion as well. But so I've come into this finding out I was pregnant quite early on in the process, and had a discussion with Carolina at the time, and my sponsor, the sponsor and my mentor have always been aware of that. So I'm now sort of planning mat leave starting from the end of November and things. But it's been really good because I'm able to do all of the sort of RADA and all the mandatory bits. But I guess it's not going to be able to spend the money before that time starts. And my project may well evolve while I'm not there. But I think my mentor and I have discussed the fact that it'll still be something that I can write about when I'm back, and whatever will have happened when I wasn't there is sort of still part of the change and the learning that I'm putting in place now in preparation. Definitely. So it's just, we've discussed whether I could have picked a different project to try and write something up before I go, but I think we both agreed we wanted to stick with the long-term project I had. That might happen around us by the time I come back. So
that's okay. Definitely schedule a meeting with Carolina just to talk through your specifics and, you know, make sure you've got your plans in place. Write down what you've done already. Do it now. So you've got a record, because, you know, after we've had small people, we don't sleep for a while. So write it all down now. And then when you come back and you're ready, you can sit down. And again, if you need to have a conversation at that point when you're coming back, to sit down and kind of look at it all again when you've reconnected with your sponsor and your mentor, it's absolutely fine. We can work around it, no problem at all. Enjoy the time and enjoy your new little person.
Yeah.
Most important. Exactly. That is the most important bit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah.
Any other questions? Emily.
Sorry, find my unmute button. I was just wondering, you were discussing the editorial piece that we need to do, and I potentially have a way to do something like that in the form of like a blog for an editorial, evidence-based nursing kind of publication. I didn't know if that, does a blog count as an editorial piece, or does it need to be sort of obviously something different that you want to publish?
What's the platform?
I think it's an evidence-based nursing kind of magazine.
That should be fine, as long as it's as part, you know, part of a kind of nursing, it's out there in terms of, you know, you can absolutely share things organisationally, but I think from a Florence scholarship perspective, we would expect you to publish wider. So as long as it's got wide footfall, it's accredited, you know, it's a known journal, website, whatever, conference, that's absolutely fine. And in terms of how you present that, whether you want to write up your project, you want to talk about your scholar journey, you want to do a slide presentation, poster presentation, that's absolutely fine. You just need to give us details of how you've kind of disseminated that information and the learning that you've had from it. And again, it's about the networking and the sharing of your success, really.
So when you say kind of sharing that part of it with you, would that be at the end, the slides and the presentation at the end?
You don't have to send us. All you need to send us at the end will be the presentation for the conference and the abstract pro forma.
Yeah.
There is a section which says, you know, where have you been able to share this information, disseminate, at which point you can put in where, you know, if you've been to any conferences, if you've done any publications, any editorials, presentations, etc. Some people have a kind of, I plan to publish with this journal and this process has started. Other people will have, you know, just by the nature of their work have already presented. So it depends on where you are in your journey. But as long as we've got the details of where that's going to happen and that you've kind of initiated the process by the time you've finished, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I'm just going to check the chat a minute and just make sure there's no questions in the chat. Do we have to inform our mentors of our project changes? Not little things, not little tiny things, no, but if you're going to go for a change of topic or a change of direction or something that's going to impact what you're doing, absolutely. But your mentors, you've got to remember, your mentor's there to coach and support you with the project. So you should be discussing your project changes with them kind of when you meet with them fairly regularly anyway, because that's kind of why they're there to give you that support. Some of the support you'll need will be leadership development rather than specifically project, but that project you should be checking in with them regularly about it. Coco?
Yeah, sorry, Debbie, you mentioned a couple of times meeting regularly with your mentor. There was a bit of a delay with me connecting with my mentor, just because I think my emails were going to her junk. Yeah. So we have connected, and we have rescheduled the second meeting just because she was unwell, which is fine. But roughly how regularly would you advise us to be checking in with them?
Okay, I'm going to do that. You're all senior nurses and midwives at this point.
Okay.
You need to, you should be checking in with them throughout your scholarship. How regularly you want to see them and how regularly they want to see you. It's like a coaching arrangement. So that contract is between you and them. So we aren't going to specifically dictate that you need to be checking in with them once every 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks.
No, that's fine. It was just because you've mentioned regularly a couple of times and I'm thinking, am I missing something here? Because we are checking in, but I don't know.
That's okay. As long as you need to see, I would say you probably need to see them more than twice a year, definitely. I think from my experience, I'm fairly new to the FNF role. I've only been in post for about 7 months. But the conversations that I've had with last year's scholars this summer, a lot of them have been, I haven't spoke to, we spoke at the beginning, but we haven't, spoke then. So the queries that are coming through as we get towards the end of the scholarship with regard to project topics, changes, challenges, barriers. When I'm saying what to do, my question will always be, have you discussed this with your mentor? What does your mentor say? And that conversation hasn't happened. So I think it's about you utilising that opportunity regularly enough for both of you so that you can get the best out of your project and your scholarship journey.
Yeah.
But it's not like a parent-child relationship where you have to speak to each other kind of, every couple of weeks. So flex it according to your needs. But what you don't want to be doing is having a complete breakdown of project and then not reaching out to them. So, you know, if you get a barrier, if you've got something you need to discuss, absolutely reach out. The other thing is, it's a fantastic opportunity, and you've been paired up with some absolutely inspirational people that you wouldn't get the opportunity to work with before. And you may not get the opportunity to work with for a while after, depending on how your route goes. So, you know, use them while they're there, because, you know, they're amazing and they've got loads of top tips for you. And even if it is just a check-in once every couple of months, just say, you know, just let you know, this is how I'm going. I'm very aware it's super busy at work, and, you know, winter starts and never really finishes, so you don't have that ebb and flow over the summer. So I want to make sure that you kind of keeping going, so you haven't got that last minute panic when it comes to submission deadline day. Because October, again, you know, you're starting to cycle up for winter again. So I'm trying to make sure that you keep a slow burn on, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you, Debbie.
Sharon.
My mentor is based in the United States, so we have time differences to deal with as well as. Nice. But and I mean, she's lovely, to be fair. We've got a fairly loose. She said, if you need me, contact me. If you're getting on okay, then I don't expect to hear from you unless you want something. But we kind of have every couple of months check-in scheduled. But my kind of issue was, and maybe still is that the project that I had as my kind of presentation, you know, my application project, it's kind of moved out of my ability. I'm not part of that project development. They're allowing me to stay in it because it's my FNF project. So I don't actually have any real direct influence on how the project's going and what it's looking like. I mean, I'm making them listen to me. So, you know, whether they like it or not, I'm still having input, because I'm like, well, this is my project. I don't want to change it, because I'm still really passionate about what it was that, you know, we're doing an electronic wound assessment tool in the community, which is really rare. So it feels like something I still want to keep pushing, because I don't want to let that go. But on discussion with with Judy, my mentor, she was very much of well, you don't have to do the project.
No,
you're not the person doing the project, Sharon. And I'm like, I know, but I feel like I should. That was the whole point. And she went, well, how can you? If it's not in your remit, you need to reframe how you view your project. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. So she's given me lots of resources to look at with regards to digital nursing when it's in an IT sphere. And so that's been really valuable to actually reframe how I'm thinking about my project. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, how do I abstract that? Because it's like, I get what I've got to do, and I kind of, the project outline, I can do all of those things because I still have all of that. But then it's like, with regards to me and my part of that project is now fairly informal and quite small. And now I'm like, oh, how do the presentation of it is going to be easy, but to write that down into some kind of abstract it feels really challenging right now. But I think mostly because I still haven't quite got my head around what my position is in regards to the project. So I think at the moment it feels manageable, but I know as I get closer to having to actually formally write something that I'm going to struggle with it. And I think at the point, I'm not sure that Judy is going to be able to give me that support in what I need. I mean, I think I'm doing her a massive disservice, to be fair, but equally, I don't want to not use my mentor. But I know that there are other people that I could possibly reach out to in my own sphere already that could give me that more kind of hands-on day-to-day, like, can you read this? Can you do this? Without me having to take up too much of Judy's time, because she's in America, it's she's got all kinds of stuff going down. But so I think that is that okay? Yeah. I don't want to undermine that mental relationship.
Absolutely fine. And it sounds like she's doing good work already.
She is. No, she is. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's great. Yeah, no problem. And just writing down some of that journey, you may find that that's part of QI. The project aren't supposed to go A to B to C to D. They're supposed to meander and go off topic and cause you kind of nice headaches like this. But you know, you're absolutely right. It was your project and you've brought it to the forefront. So actually, you know, reframing and thinking about that is a really good idea. When you get closer to the deadline, obviously, if you're still struggling, and you know, there are obviously utilize the people within your organisation that you've got. But again, drop the academy and email, and we can always have a conversation nearer the time.
Brilliant, so, thank you. I think that's reassuring.
No, you're not on your own, guys.
I know.
Anything else? Oh, hang on. I've got a big one just popped in there. Oh, there's some really helpful tips in the chat. Everyone's sharing. That's awesome. Any other questions at all? Okay. So I've got a few bits just really to ask you. How have you found your core modules so far? Obviously, you've got RADA yet to come. Very exciting. But King's Fund, Chime, anything that, you know, have you got any feedback for us on those, from those sessions?
The King's Fund sessions were really good. It was the 2 days and they were facilitated really, really well. It was interactive, and the afternoons, I think, were quite long and the content was quite heavy. I don't know if anyone else found that, particularly around the modes and things like that. That sort of, that was hard in the afternoon. That would be probably my only like kind of critical feedback, in that maybe that could be on morning session when my brain was still working.
No worries, that's fine.
Otherwise, it was a really, really great 2 days. I didn't attend Chime, so I can't comment on that one.
I can't remember who's digital and who's not off the top of my head. So covering all bases in one, really. Lizzie?
Yeah, I'm digital, and I went to Chime, and it was a really fantastic week. I think the residential side, you can't beat it. So obviously, I joined the King's Fund having done Chime and having done a face-to-face residential, and I don't think you can beat that evening having dinner and drinks, although non-alcoholic for me, that you get with residential programs. So I think we had that just a couple of weeks before the King's Fund, and I just found that the relationships that I made with the digital scholars on that residential was something different. Although I was able to make some quite good connections with people during the short breakouts with the King's Fund, I think nothing beats that sort of opportunity to go away and spend time with your colleagues and learn and get to know them on a bit of a deeper level, really. But I did enjoy the King's Fund, and I would probably echo what Coco said. I think my brain was hurting a little bit by the afternoons. But yeah, I think that is just the nature of sitting watching these things when you're at home as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good feedback to hear, because we are planning to do face-to-face King's Fund next year, so that feedback will be likely actioned as long as Carolina can do the magic. But that's the plan. So thank you, Karen.
Did we have any slide feedback from those days? You know, because we did actually do the pies matrix and that sort of thing. Because I took some notes, but I lost some of my notes, and I just wondered if we had any. You know, because they did use some of the things, we had slides and things, but I just can't remember everything. And it was a bit like Coco said, I think my brain was so swamped that I couldn't take it all. I feel I need to go back over some of the stuff, but I used a pad and I lost some of the notes from the second day, I think.
That's all right. We can have a look. We can definitely have a look and see if they've sent over.
I think I did receive something.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
I was one of the ones who jumped over to Group B because I had COVID, so I don't know, but I think I did receive the bits on email from the King's Fund, not from Carolina.
We'll follow it up for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've made a note. I'll follow it up, Karen.
Brilliant, thank you. Because if not, it might have gone in my junk and it's gone in the abyss of stuff.
This is the trouble, isn't it? Especially with your work emails. Nothing gets through the firewall, does it?
I know.
the other thing, Debbie, that and it sounds like it's not really relevant, because if you're moving back to face, that's absolutely amazing. Nothing really compares. But if we were in a position, God forbid, that COVID came back and we all moved back to virtual, recording the sessions would be really helpful. Just again, those slides are great, but being able to listen back to the discussion and listen back to the explanation of those slides would really help.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to give back that context. But if you're moving back to face, then that is absolutely amazing.
Well, we need to maintain hybrid options, so it's very relevant. I think if anything, the last 3 years has taught us is we do not know what's happening next week. So absolutely, we'll take that back as well. Fantastic. So you've just we've talked about RADA already. We've talked about projects. I've got a little list that I'm just making sure I've ticked everything off. We've talked about mentors and sponsors, and we've talked about the conference a little bit. The only other thing that I need to kind of just give you a heads up for is in November, you will be receiving a midpoint kind of review sheet from us. So it's a little bit of evaluation form. It just gives you the opportunity to touch base, answer a few questions, give us a little update on your project, let us know, how you got on with some of your workshops. So it's just some data gathering for us, but also it's a good opportunity for you to kind of take a copy of that and send it to your sponsor, let them know how you're getting on and how you're spending your money. It'll ask you about your expenses as well. How are you getting on? Are you able to identify, opportunities for you to do that? And then obviously if you've got any queries off the back of that, then we can follow that up with you on an individual basis, or we can check in at the next Q&A, whichever works for you. But I think that will be coming out in November. Yes, Coco.
Sorry.
No, don't ever apologise for asking questions.
I think this one's a little bit for Carolina because it's money related.
Absolutely. Let her take the floor.
I have had in my initial meeting with my mentor, I had a conversation because I was very, very lost with how to use my CPD funding, and still am to some extent. She's not at all worried. She said, don't worry, we're going to spend every penny. But I guess my question is more around whether or not it can be allocated as spent prior to March, or whether we have to have attended the courses by March, because for some of the things that we're looking at, the dates are after March 31st, 23, which is the end of my funding. If it's sort of allocated to that, does that count, or is that an issue? Do I have to have attended the course?
You don't have to have attended the course, but we do ask if there's a booking confirmation with a price attached, because we get audited externally. So we do need to prove that the money's being used for what it's been assigned to.
No, that's totally fair enough. Brilliant.
Yeah. Or we could also discuss about delaying payments. And that's another option, but yeah, we can discuss it closer to the time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Carolina.
Yeah, no problem.
Debbie, you've got a hand up.
Hi, Debbie. Sorry I'm in late. I had another meeting that I just couldn't get out of there. But I know this is being recorded. Can we get the beginning of the recording? Because I was interested to come in and talk about the expenses, which I'm sure you have already covered, so I don't want to go over that again. But can we just have the recording so that I can take through? It's just my expenses, obviously, with my travel and not from Northern Ireland. I find I'm going to go over the travel expense. So I was just wanting to see, was there strictly so much money that had to go towards travel?
So you think you're going to go over £1,000?
Possibly, because RADA so far is 350, so for this trip alone, just for flights and accommodation the night before, it's 350. And then obviously I have the 2 Windsors, the flights in, and then obviously, coming back in May. So so that's the only thing I was just really concerned about.
No, sure, Debbie. We can talk about it separately, so don't worry too much.
Thank you.
Carolina's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the expenses questions just go straight to Carolina.
Okay.
Wow. Excellent. Any other questions? Anything else you want to discuss? I'm also quite aware that you're all quite busy people, so I want to make sure you get the most out of this. Sharon?
Yeah, so I was planning to, as part of the, I'm one of the digital scholars, and so part of the Chime offer for us was to go to Texas in November to attend their conference, which I was very excited about. But I can't go now because I've got to have some grommets put in because I'm like a 5-year-old child. But what it does mean is that I'd kind of thought, right, well, that's X amount of thousands of pounds for, all of the things to pay for Chime. So I haven't booked on any of the courses that were offered in this first round, which I'm not anxious about that in any way. What I am a bit anxious about is what else is there? Is there like a future list of courses that the same types of companies or that other companies will be running the same type of thing next year? Because I'm happy to book them and give you my invoices, of course. But what it means is that I don't actually know what's available for me to now get my, pull my, are they all on the, is that on each company site, Coco? Sorry. Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to have to try.
So I
didn't pay any attention because I wasn't going to go.
If you go on the F&F, sorry, Carolina, maybe I should let you answer this. But if you go on the F&F resources page,
right, okay.
They've got some of the key ones that presented on that first day, and they've got the links to the websites. So if you then click through onto the sites, they've got the dates and the different programs and how much they cost, and you can email them if the prices aren't there.
Right. Okay. And I suppose from that then, are there likely to be other partners that will perhaps be coming in next year? I know you may not be able to answer this because I don't want to, I suffer from FOMO. I don't want to book something and then like another course come out and be like, oh, I really wish I could do that instead. Because I don't want that to happen. Is there likely to be more next year that are different from what we were offered this year? I mean, I don't know, do we get Florence offered different courses each year by different companies? I think is probably my question, because I don't want to rush into anything.
I think the providers are pretty much the same every year. There are a couple of new providers that I'm aware of now. Have you heard about the Eden Project?
Yes, I remember them. Oh, as in the Eden Project or the company?
The Eden Project, as in Cornwall.
Yes, I have. I've been there once years ago.
They're doing a women's leadership.
Now that was something that I was, because I'm interested in the women's leadership aspect of it, and not some of them. I think one of the other ones was quite specific about female leadership, but I would rather there was something that was more specific. So if the Eden Project are doing,
they are, yeah,
cool. Have we got detail? Have we had details of that? Yet? I've missed it.
I'll. It's not on the LMS site. I think I did ask for them to forward me a brochure, but I don't think I've got the brochure.
I don't think it's come through yet.
So I'll follow that up and I'll circulate that as well and add it to the LMS site. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think a couple of have already tried to contact them and they're just not getting back to us. So I think a few of us have emailed. I know I've tried ringing, but nobody's ever got back to us from them.
I've got a contact name.
Oh, that'd be good. Could you give it to us?
So she seems quite responsive, so I can forward that on to you.
Lovely, thank you.
I can actually put it in the chat now, so let me put it in the chat.
Do that. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Thank you, everybody.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Any other questions, queries, topics, anything you want to raise? We've stunned you into silence. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Gemma Hughes, she's going to be inundated. I think I saw something about it on Twitter, actually. I think I saw something advertised on Twitter.
And the other company I was going to suggest was Trainetics. They do like the Prince 2 Agile courses, if that's of any interest.
The Bravest Path also did a women in leadership one, which is linked on the F&F page as well. But it's linked under the first link. It's just says open day or something. But if you click through, it's got the brochure from the Bravest Path, which is the company. And they've got a Women in Leadership program if you're interested.
If you Google that one as well, it comes straight up on Google.
Yeah, they've got a really good website. They've got a really good website. But yeah, there's no, you don't have to go with our people as well. So if there is something out there that you see and you're like, oh, that's interesting, then, you know, feel free to pursue that if you've got budget for it. Absolutely. Emma, sorry that you nearly got a Gemma then. I was focused on the G.
I answer to most things. I was just going to say, I've just started the leadership course with the Bravest Path. Actually, I had my first coaching session today, but so far I've been really impressed with them, really engaging, had a couple of conversations with them, really focus on kind of, you know, it being quite individualized around what you want to get out of the course. So yeah, I would just sort of say so far my experience has been really positive of that course. Fantastic.
I must admit, I'm a bit of a closet Brené Brown fan, so I'm a bit biased on that one, which is why I'm staying quiet. I'm supposed to be independent. Excellent. Okay. Anything else? And then otherwise,
and also, you can spend your money on attending conferences for, you know, they can be abroad as well, just as long as you try and keep to the travel budget. But yeah, you know, specifically relevant, you know. I know scholars from last year attended a course in Sweden on healthcare leadership.
Brilliant. Thank you, Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay. You can indeed. Yes, Anthony. No problem. Okay, so if you haven't got anything else you want to talk about, and you've got the place to be, I'll let you go. Obviously, if you want to hang around at the end, then I can either arrange a one-to-one with you, follow up one-to-one with you, or drop me an email if you've got any queries along the way, unless there's anything else that you need to ask or want to ask about. Those of you who are off on RADA, have a wonderful time. And we'll see you at the next catch-up session. I can't remember where it is.
It's going to be April, but I haven't confirmed the date yet. So
feels like so long away. Yes, you will see some. Yeah, I don't know whether am I allowed to tell people, Carolina? I'm going to RADA next week as part of the group, so
we'll see you there.
We'll see you there. But brilliant. It was lovely to see you all. Thank you for your questions. Any questions, obviously, Carolina, you know where to find us. Let us know. And if anybody needs anything specific, just drop me an email. Is that okay? Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.